Peace, good morning. I'd like to welcome you back into the Foul Playland. As always, I'm your Foul Player. I wanted to make a short video regarding the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight that's coming up in September, I believe. And I wanted to give my thoughts on it. I said September without really knowing like the actual date of when this fight is happening, because I'm not looking into it too much. I'm actually finding out about the fight as far as the fact that it's 8 rounds, or that it's with headgear or with oversized gloves, by listening to other channels that I do like. And it's not like I'm even going for videos like that. It's like usually on a live stream of a channel that I do like. And my hands are too busy to change the video to something else more interesting. But they'll run down the gamut of finer details regarding this fight, this pay-per-view match that's happening. And I'll happen to listen to it. So I'm finding out like a lot of this information in those means rather than looking it up myself. Regarding the fight, both guys have been out for decades. Mike Tyson seems like he's in fantastic shape. Roy Jones Jr. always looks like he's in pretty good shape. But I'm not even going to get into the grim and gory of the details of the fight, nor will I talk about this fight in the aftermath unless something out of pocket happens. I'm more talking about this fight regarding what it does, or who it's catered to, as far as like casual fans, and I also want to discuss. Actually, I'll just touch on that point. I don't care about the fight because it's catered more towards casual fans, and seemingly it's knocking Canelo Alvarez's next match against nobody in particular yet, because it seems like Callum Smith might not be taking that fight against Canelo Alvarez in September. But it seems to have taken Canelo off of that September date, or a September date, because of the quote-unquote magnitude of this fight. But this fight is a nothing fight. And the reason that this fight could take somebody like Canelo or any other boxer, because Canelo is the biggest active boxer right now, unfortunately, is because these boxers are two buns to fight each other and make the sport great. If you had good matches that were happening on a constant basis, particularly at welterweight, the worst division in all of boxing, then a fighter like Mike Tyson, who's been on the couch for years in his 50s, and Roy Jones Jr. won't be able to push any of these boxers off of their dates. And a lot of these boxers don't realize this now. They want to play, especially Errol Spence and the PBC side of the welterweights, they want to play as if they're A side, all while dragging boxing down to its eventual demise. Boxing, if you haven't noticed, isn't popping right now. I mean, the lineup that Showtime and Fox is reportedly set to come out with are going to be good lineups, and they're not going to move the Richter scale much. I could probably say that maybe some of those fights already look better than the 2018 schedule of boxing. And there's not going to be much fanfare for those fights that are going to be happening in the rest of 2020, because boxing, nobody cares about boxing, and it's because of how these boxers are not fighting each other. The biggest example of that at welterweight especially is Bud Crawford against Errol Spence. These dudes are fronting and acting like Bud Crawford has to prove himself, even though he's a champion, and he's been a champion for a couple of years now. But yet Danny Garcia has improved himself by beating anybody, and he's gonna fight Errol Spence next. Danny Garcia hasn't beaten anybody at welterweight of any significance, and his last 2 fights have been against Ivan Redcash and Adrian Granados. You know, the every other fight at welterweight, by and large, he's lost. His greatest welterweight victory, I mean, may have been against Guerrero for a vacant belt. Besides that, Danny Garcia hasn't accomplished nothing. And Danny Garcia was one of my favorite fighters because he's a Puerto Rican like me, and he's has a hood background like me. He had the father who talks brash like mine. Rest in peace. You know, so it's not like I'm hating on Danny Garcia, but that fight is whack. That fight does nothing to draw a casual fan to buy that fight. It does nothing to draw a casual fan to even watch that fight, even if it were for free. That fight for free, with the same promotion that they gave Wilder Fury from the PBC side, at least ESPN was pushing the fight. That fight for free would probably crack a little over $1 million, and yet PBC is giving it to us on pay-per-view. You know, so like boxing young fans are like my age, in their 30s. You don't see a lot of young fans coming into this sport. That's why I appreciate Ack Reacher, 503, and you know, if you could subscribe to both 503 and Ack Reacher, because they're young cats that love boxing, that are interested in the day-to-day of boxing. I'm losing interest in the day-to-day of boxing, and I used to box. You know, like the boxing makes it hard to love the sport as a viewer, because we're getting worse and worse product, and now they're trying to sell us this substandard product. And it's sorry to say, but you know, the people at the vanguard of trying to sell us fights that don't matter, or the people at the vanguard of trying to get these fights paid while taking the least risk possible, is PBC. You know, I didn't want to come to that conclusion up until a year or two ago, but PBC's at the forefront of messing up the game. You know, a lot of the criticism of PBC in the past was not. I think a lot of it was more inspired by race and from racists. I think a lot of these promoters who were chucking stones at PBC were doing it more out of maybe hate the fact that a lot of these fighters went and signed with PBC. And I thought, you know, PBC had a good cause. They wanted to pay fighters and not have them get jerked by promotions and by promotional companies. But at the end of the day, I'm a viewer first. I'm a fan first. You know, I'm not getting paid by PBC at the end of the day. So in essence, as a viewer, as a consumer, me, they've kind of like shifted what their MO was, or what I thought their MO was when the company was first consummated, and now it's a price gouge for fights like Leo Santa Cruz versus Tank Davis, 2 virtual unknowns, for fights like Danny Swift Garcia against Errol Spence. You know, it's a big time jip. Those are Showtime fights. You may not agree with me, like you may want to hype up like what these people actually contribute to the game, but those are Showtime fights. But it's PBC who's trying to charge me to watch two whack fights like that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree, disagree. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm out. Peace.